Make sure you are static free before touching processor or motherboard. And the best way to do this is to touch the metal case of the frame of the computer, like shown. If it is a new board, the first job is to remove the plastic cover in the processor housing. And to do that, you have to unlock the lever, push down and pull out the lever from under the latch. Push back the lever all the way to the back of the board, and the housing brace for the processor will lift up. Then just grab it and lean it back as far as it will go. Now we remove the plastic cover. To do this, you have to lift the tab at the front of the processor housing, as shown. The processor housing is keyed, so there is only one way to install the processor correctly. The two tabs in the processor housing correspond with two notches in the processor. So here's the two notches in the processor that match with the two tabs in the housing. Pick up the processor as shown. Do not touch bottom or top of processor if it can be avoided. Place the processor in the housing as shown, allowing tabs and notches to line up. Now, if you have installed correctly, a white dot and a gold triangle should be present in the same corner. Move housing brace down into closing position, making sure that the slot lines up with the locking pillar screw. A small bit of force is required to pull down the lever when the processor is in position, so thumb and finger may be used because you will have to push down and then push in lever under latch that holds lever in place. Now we will install the processor fan. First, make sure there is thermal paste on the bottom side of the fan that sits directly on top of the processor. This paste must be applied if it is not already present. If you install the processor fan without this thermal paste, your processor will overheat and be destroyed when you turn your computer on. So make sure there is thermal paste applied. Now, there are 4 holes that you have to line up with the 4 locking pins at the 4 corners of the fan. And here are the 4 locking pins on the fan. Line the holes up with the locking pins on the fan, then push down on the top of the fan. Now check the alignment of the 4 arrows as shown and the 4 locking pins. These arrows on the top of the locking pins should be turned away from the fan. So, if the arrow is pointing towards the fan, you must turn it clockwise away from the fan. And here is a demonstration of how to do that. Now you are ready to lock the fan into place. Press down on the locking pins in opposite sides. This way the fan plate where the thermal paste is will sit evenly, and if you do it this way, it is easier to push locking pins into place. Now here is a clicking sound you should hear when you press down on the locking pins. Make sure you check that the locking pins go right through the holes in the board. And this is what you should see on the bottom side of the motherboard. A black pin sticking out between two white clips, all in all 4 positions. Now the last job, and most important, is installing the fan cable. Your processor will fry if this cable is not connected correctly. The cable is keyed, so there is only one way to connect it. Make sure it's the correct connector that you are connecting it to. The connector will have the words CPU fan printed on the board beside the connector. And that's it, you have installed processor and fan.